Hello, I'm Dr. Gordon Johnson, and I'm a pathologist. A pathologist is a medical doctor that studies disease. As such, we examine human body fluids and tissues. Again, I said a pathologist is a medical doctor. Pathos means disease, and ology is the study of.
Tell me about your experience. Where were you a medical examiner?
I was a medical examiner in Missouri for 11 years. Now, mind you, I've always chaired a department of pathology someplace. So I was, in addition, a medical examiner of this county in Missouri. So I was wearing two hats. And in fact, eventually I had about 20 some counties that I was deputy coroner for. So I saw a lot of bodies. Well, I started doing medical examiner work in the late 70s. And I saw some of the tolls of drug abuse, substance abuse, and I was very much aware of how it impacted different areas. And the area I was in Missouri, was nice for raising of children because there wasn't that much substance abuse. As I prepared to come to Florida and was actually building a house in Weston, I started this was in the early 90s. I saw the statistics and I knew Miami had been a portal of drugs into the country. And I just looked at how difficult it would be to raise my children in that environment or versus the one I was already in. I just decided to stay in Missouri and I canceled out of all of my Florida contracts and later on decided to come on down.
Dr. Johnson is a pathologist and a former medical examiner.
What role does the pathologist play in the fight against opioids?
Okay, I think that question's best answered by telling you exactly what a pathologist is. A pathologist is a medical doctor that studies disease. As such, we examine human body fluids and tissues. We do autopsies. We look at everything that comes out of you or off of you, surgical pathology. We look at and study the chemistry of the human body. The blood bank comes under the auspices of the pathologist, how people get blood. Microbiology, the viruses, the bacteria, the fungi, all of that is pathology. Hematology, the study of the blood cells, that's pathology. So there are two broad branches, clinical and anatomical, and my boards are in both. And what we're involved with is looking at the drug levels, looking at the causes of death, providing instruction to the hospitals on what we're seeing so that there might be committees that adjust how opioids are used in the hospital. For instance, we just decreased the use at one hospital I'm associated with by about 90% once we saw the problems because we're in meetings and we can talk about that. So pathologist is very, very much involved in the qualitative and quantitative analysis of the drugs as well as the classification of causes of death and the reporting.
As I told you, in anatomic pathology, we look at slides. The person that prepares those slides is called a histologist. They generally have 4 years of college. They learn this trade. It's like an artistic work to make these slides that we look at under the microscope. And that is a field of medicine. The person that looks at the slides in cytology, the cells, to determine if they're malignant or not, before the pathologist does, is a cytologist. So that is a field of medicine called a cytologist. And the person that works in the general laboratory to do the chemistry, the blood bank, the microbiology, is a medical technologist. That, again, just like cytology, histology, is a degree, a Bachelor of Science degree. And it's generally 4 or 5 years to be a medical technologist. Now, what do they pay? Medical technologists make a good wage, which probably would be considered $70,000 to just generally above $100,000 a year. Also, the cytologist and the histologist would be in those same categories. So medical technologists, histologists, cytologists, and pathologists. The pathologists generally make north of or more than $250,000 a year. So again, that gives you an idea of pathology, molecular biology, what you can expect to make, these different professions that you can do, medical school, how long it takes to be a doctor, the fact that it's not so hard, because after about 3 good hard years, you're more or less in the club and things start to go your way. Don't worry about the paying for it. If you get into medical school, there will be money. Thank you. This is Dr. Gordon Johnson. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me.